£730 million in debt. That is Manchester United right now. The second quarterly figures have been released for Manchester United, and they don't read well. They don't read well at all. Manchester United are £730 million in debt and still owe £300 million for existing transfers. So that's over £1 billion that Manchester United owe. Oh my God, what is going on at this football club? These figures that have just been released are probably the most damning and most concerning for all Manchester United fans. Even with Ineos helping out and buying into Manchester United, it seems that we have got a lot worse financially. In a world where there is more money in football than there ever was, how the hell are Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, running at such a loss? It is absolutely staggering. This is Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Welcome along, everybody, to the show. It is a quick fire roundup of these figures that have just been released, which are horrific for Manchester United, and which way you read into it, try and cover it, trying to explain, make an excuse for, you are hit with a brick wall of ineptitude and just stupidity and poor management of one of, like I said, the biggest football clubs in world football. How do you make the mistakes that Manchester United have made? Well, only them people that have now been sacked for all of these errors that have occurred within Manchester United and why we're in this financial situation right now, only they could tell you why and what they were actually thinking. But my God, the Glazers, since they have come in, have pretty much, they have just anchored Manchester United to the bottom of the Premier League in terms of how far we can move forward. It really is that bad right now. And with no Champions League football, no extra revenues, there is only one person that is going to pay for this. And this is what we're all worried about as to what is happening next month. And that is the fans. And hikes in prices. We are going to have to pay for everything that's gone wrong. Let's get into the actual figures and what's actually been said and go through the key parts of this, which are horrific for Manchester United. Like we said at the start, Manchester United's now overall debt stands at £731 million. Manchester United still owe $300 million in transfer fees. Now, we know that that's just day-to-day running costs, but it's still money that United owe. And obviously, other clubs owe Manchester United money for transfers as well. And obviously, you can sort of bring the day-to-day running costs down at Manchester United because nobody pays up front for transfers. It doesn't happen. So that money aside, yeah, it makes it look even worse. It makes it look like we're over $1 billion in terms of debt, which we pretty much are when you look at the figures and you put them all together. But still, and that's your day-to-day running. United still have money coming in themselves as well. So that's probably a bit less, but still, it's quite a lot of money and what Manchester United owe. And obviously, with us not being in the Champions League or are playing well in the Premier League and competing at the top end of the Premier League and earning more money for the place we finish in the league, there isn't much money coming into Manchester United from performance-related bonuses or funds coming into the club from where we finish in the league or what trophies we win. That's pretty much dried up, and we know why that is, because the football's crap on the pitch. But yeah, $731 million, $300 still owed in transfer fees. Manchester United's interest payments alone now for the Glazer takeover have just gone over $1 billion on their own. So for the Glazers spending nothing and taking millions out of Manchester United in dividends and ripping us to bits, it has cost us, the football club, $1 billion for the Glazers to own us. So they spent nothing, and it's cost Manchester United $1 billion for them to own Manchester United. Let that sink in for a minute. That's where the major problem lies. In these recent quarterly figures, $18.8 million in interest on the takeover for the Glazers, and the debt has been charged, and that has taken the total to the Glazer takeover in interest payments alone to over $1 billion. That is absolutely staggering. It is embarrassing. It is a joke on how this has been allowed to happen. The Premier League they've got questions that need answering as to why they even let the Glazers do what they did. And they covered this up miraculously with Sir Alex Ferguson and United still being successful back in the day. But now everything is coming home to roost and everyone can see what is really going on and why the Glazers actually allowed Ineos to come in and what they've done. They don't want to relinquish their power of owning Manchester United for nothing. They've actually taken more money out, so it's cost the club $1 billion in interest payments for the loans that the Glazers took out to purchase Manchester United, which shouldn't have been allowed in the first place. They have now taken a substantial amount of money off Sir Jim Ratcliffe, near, $1.4 billion in total, for him to own a part of it. and they've taken that money away and they've banked that themselves and they've kept that. They've not invested that back, as they've never invested a penny into Manchester United. They've got that, and they're still in charge of everything going on at Manchester United and still have the final say. When you're looking at absolute masterclass in business and absolutely rinsing a sporting enterprise like Manchester United, the Glazers are number one. My God, they are number one. That is embarrassing. 1 billion in interest payments. Ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. That's a crime. That should be a crime as one. But getting into everything else, stupid little things that Manchester United have done and mistakes that they've made. Ineos, since coming in, have dropped some right bollocks, haven't they? They really have. Dan Ashworth has been paid 4.1 million in compensation, even though he's only worked 159 days. They hired him. They paid the fee to Newcastle for Dan Ashworth. They've then fired him within 5 months, and it's cost them, when you've had it all together, probably approximately around about 6 million in total for Dan Ashworth for doing absolutely nothing. 6 million gone. Another issue that we had at the top of the start of the season was, obviously, Erik ten Hag. He should have been fired. United finished 8th in the league. Everyone got carried away by an FA Cup win. They kept him, and that now has cost them another 14.5 million in compensation. So Dan Ashworth and Erik ten Hag together at the start of this season, and the decisions to employ and keep these people in place, and we've not even talked about Ten Hag's staff and everything else and what's happening with Van Nistelrooy and things like that, but that's cost United near 20 million alone. And then when you look on top of that, the fact that they've now had to hire Ruben Amorim on another contract so you can add the price of that, when really they could have got Amorim in the summer, because if you can get him midway through a season, there's no way you're telling me that they couldn't have got Amorim in the summer. Why didn't they make this decision? If they were unsure about Ten Hag and it took them so long to decide on it, this has cost Manchester United not just this compensation, it's cost Manchester United all the money that was spent with a view to having Ten Hag as the manager going forward this season on players that Ruben Amorim, really looking at it, is struggling to get the best out of and probably wouldn't have bought in himself. And now there are players in this that Ruben would have bought. Obviously, you could argue Lenny Yeo, you could argue Manuel Ugarte, definitely. But would Ruben Amorim have bought a full-back in Mazraoui? Would he have bought a centre-back in Matthias de Ligt of that calibre of player and players who play in a certain system like that? Or would he have bought someone else in? Would he have bought maybe Giovanni Quenda? Would he have bought the Amande in instead? Another centre-back, a different type. Now, I'm not having a go at Mazraoui or de Ligt. I think they've been good players for Manchester United this summer. Since the summer and since they've been playing in a red shirt. But ultimately, when you still look at it, that money could have been spent elsewhere by Ruben Amorim on other players that fit the system better. Because everyone in this Man United side is struggling right now, barring a few, to actually play for Ruben Amorim. So that's the biggest cost of what Ineos have done. They've give Glazers the money and they've put Manchester United further behind. That's Ineos so far. There is great and a brilliant structure in place by Ineos, and I'm not even complaining about all of that. But within that structure, there is already flaws, and we've seen that in the cost of what it's got, what has happened to Manchester United in terms of bringing in Dan Ashworth and then firing him. And Dan Ashworth wanted to keep Ten Hag, and now we've got Ten Hag in, and then we sack him 2 months into the season. It cost us that much money. All in all, really, when you look at, and I don't know how much the contract is for Ruben Amorim, if it's something similar to what Ten Hag is on, the Manchester United they've brought Dan Ashworth in, they've kept Ten Hag on, extended his contract with that option to extend by another year in his current deal that he had before Ineos came in, and that's cost them a total of 20 million plus what it has to bring Ruben Amorim in, and now they're having to change everything in terms of the squad. We could have got rid of Marcus Rashford in the summer. We could have got rid of all of these players in the summer, and we could have actually had a real productive summer. So in costing finances, not only is it that, it's costing future finances because we're having to undo everything that happened in the summer because of stupid mistakes that were made in keeping certain people and hiring certain people. And the Glazers' debt on top of everything that's happened there, it just makes Man United look absolutely... It makes us look pathetic. There was a brilliant piece from Mark Ogden of ESPN, chief writer for ESPN, who says, and I think I mentioned it at the top there, how the hell, when there's so much money in football, more money than ever in football, do a club like Manchester United find themselves in so much debt? It is staggering, Manchester United's situation at the moment. It really is. Get your comments in below. Let me know what you think about the current financial situation. Are you paying any attention to it? Is it bothering you at all? Because the only reason you should be looking at this and worrying is the future of the club in general, but who's going to pay for it? I can tell you right now, there's only one person who's going to pay for this, and that's us. And that is to come yet. That's the next instalment of this saga of the Ineos and the Glazer reign together right now. That's where we are at as a football club. Give the video a like, subscribe to the button on your screen right now. I'll see you in the next video, everybody.